Dummy Switch Pod. The boys are back.
Yes,
How are you,
sir.
Chris?
Yes, sir. Oh, Kudos. Hey, look, hey, I can't complain. I'm good. How you doing, man? How you doing?
Good myself, good myself. The Dan Carters of podcasting here to give you
Uh-huh.
a flagrant takes, our opinions, our commentary
hmm
on all things rugby, particularly US, URC, and yeah, church announcements. You can find us here, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course, leave your opinions and thoughts in the comments as well. And let's get the numbers up. We're on that road to 500 subscribers.
mm
We'll get
mm.
there around Bok time, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
um, let's talk URC. Win for your team, win for my
yeah,
team. The Lions are back. But
yeah,
let's start. I think let's start with the Bulls.
yeah.
Again, 2 weeks in a row, two statement performances. This
Mm.
one particularly a repeat final, as it were. But
Yeah,
Bulls come out on top. And for me, the most impressive thing was number one, this was a breakout game for Vessels. This
yeah,
is what we talk about in terms of before the cart was before the horse. He got selected before
yeah,
the
yeah,
performance, but now the performance is
yeah,
justifying a selection, which he has
mm,
had. So for me, it was the defense, and for him, it was
yeah,
just a breakout game.
yeah, yeah. Look, that's exactly it, Kudos. You took the words out of my mouth. I was just thinking across the board, a lot of the guys that Rossi and the Bok management picked, you know, before, uh, and showed some faith in, they're starting to, to look good now,
Mm,
and yeah, it's coming at almost the right time, June is around the corner, so yeah, it was good to see. And the Bulls again, I think smart play, and also just hanging tough
yeah,
away from home, and really bringing that. I think the physical pressure, like you said, the defensive pressure, because you saw even there at the end they how Glasgow, what their
yeah.
attack can do, but then
But the game was done. It was.
yeah, but they were forced into mistakes discipline wise, and yeah, the Bulls just built that scoreboard pressure, capitalized on it,
Yeah.
almost like the Bulls of old, where three on offer, take the points. It was interesting to see that. You know,
Yes, yes. That's one thing that I will say it is a trademark of Bulls and Jake White, especially where they do tend to take points rather than
Mm,
build the lead. But what I saw this weekend was all four South African teams now doing the same thing because we've seen the Stormers do that. We've seen the
mm,
Lions do that, where especially the Stormers, they're always going to kick for Lime and back the more. But all of a
mm,
sudden, I don't know, it's that race for eight where now every game is a knockout game and guys are taking it more seriously, as it were, where the results. So it seems like, I mean, the Bulls do it, but it seems like other teams are following suit. Again,
mm.
here for me, the defense, like you said, they what I used to find before was that they put a lot of pressure on defensively and they tend to get impatient and overeager. Then the ref
Mm.
starts blowing against them, and then it snowballs. But I felt like they were very patient in
Yeah,
this game until obviously the low yellow. But for most of the game, they held their patience, and that was the most impressive thing for me was that there's a fine line between a rush and an offsides. There's just those things, especially around the ruck. You've got to toe that line in terms of disturbing the ball and so on. But I felt like they did it very well in this game. Other thing in defense, Moody shutting off the wider
yeah.
channels. And I mean, we've
He
seen
was
him play
big.
13 before. He was
Yeah,
playing wing, but he was almost in that 13 channel,
channel. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
closing everything off.
Mm, mm. And I mean, and that's what I mean. Is like a lot of the guys they're starting to look good, and the Bulls, surprisingly, they at the right
Yeah,
time, everybody
they're looking
is.
like a championship team.
That's what I'm saying. Surprisingly, because you know, like I said, the last week is that the way that they were winning, they can build on that and take that into the next game, and especially going now into knockouts. So I think it's good for them. Let's see how far they can take it. It looks like they they understand exactly what they want to do, how they want to
Yeah.
play. Um, and it's working for them. So yeah, look, and good on them for getting that away win, against the team, that they lost to in the final. So I think there was also a bit of that,
Yeah.
for them. But overall, it goes down to the basics again, the pack working well,
Yeah,
again,
the scrum is always
mm,
it's always going to work out for them.
yeah, and just nailing those basics, like giving themselves the chance, So yeah, and like I said earlier, hanging tough, because that's what it's been for them, on
Yeah.
tour is hanging tough.
For me, like I said in earlier weeks, I always saw them as pretenders. I thought they'll make it to semifinals, then they'll get knocked out. But
Yeah,
now I'm
yeah.
seeing that
Ish.
they've stepped up
Maybe
a
they
level.
have.
They've built uh they've built a wider squad. They did rotate in this game. You've got Vili Leroux coming off the bench. You've now got Keegan Johannes that comes in at 9 or 10. You've got Huerson came in now and he's looking refreshed and he's looking in form. Transformation targets are not getting hit, but that's a story for another day.
That's
But
yeah. Hey,
yeah, they are looking like contenders, whereas previously I would have thought they were pretenders. So we'll see. They're going to have a bit of a home run just before playoffs. So we'll see if they continue to build on. And I mean, it's good. You're
yeah,
seeing guys like Nokia come in back from injury, slotted in well. Escom was playing eight in this game. He got go forward ball. They were able to rest a few of the loose forwards, so still got the job done. Good tour.
yeah, yeah. Good tour for them, and lost two games, at home. So yeah, but yeah, the transformation targets, it must be raised, but okay, it's not our team. The guys that support it, they must
The
they must raise.
AfriForum 15. But we move on. We move on. Lions versus Connacht. Lions team refresh Lions teams. We've got Mills in the center coming up from the juniors. You've got
Mm,
Van Veek coming back there. That was like the main thing for me to see how that center partnership was going to go. Renzo Duplessis gets another run out. Jared Kearns and JC Pretorius, you don't normally see those two play together. It's normally one or the other. But it was a team that needed refreshing.
yeah,
Ruan Fenter allegedly suspended for having words with Landsberg. So, but I mean, like for me personally, it's neither here nor there. It would be news if you're at the top of the table. When you're at the bottom, those kind of frustration things happen. So, I
yeah,
mean, for me, the biggest thing in this game was the Lions were able to build phases, and besides that, they played in good territory. And the
mm,
reason why they could play in good territory is because the kicking and the kick chase were there. And sometimes it looks so simple. What they were doing is that they were just putting that high ball and they were getting Richard Creel underneath it. They were getting Edel underneath it and they were competing, getting the ball back, and then you can play from there. And then rugby looks so simple.
yeah.
So
And
it's like, how come you guys can game plan? I mean, obviously, you're not going to get it right every week,
yes,
but now it's looking so simple. Whereas before, why does it have to reach this point?
mm, yeah. Look, I guess that's only a question for Cash and his team, to answer. But again, executed game plan. It's almost the way even I guess most South African teams play in any case. Especially when you get to park level where there's got to be that kick chase. And
Yeah,
uh, unconventional for the Lions at home because usually they're the ones they're trying to play that tempo. And in this game, you can see there's a team that has been on a losing run and they're trying to make it work. And
yeah,
like the patience with it, like you said, they're building the phases. So I think on that side of it, it's like okay, yeah, it's good to see those positives, but again, echoing what you're saying, it's a little too late, because you have to be able to show that adaptability within that squad
yeah.
before it gets to where now you're 13th, you don't stand a chance, and it's always
We stand a
yeah,
chance. It's a
yeah,
slim chance, but we're playing Scarlets, we're playing
yeah,
Ospreys, so we win those. We in the mix. The Sharks are also
Yeah,
playing Ospreys this weekend, so we in the mix. We need Benetton, Munster, Edinburgh, and Ulster to now go sideways. So there
yeah.
is some
There's a
slight. I think they said
chance.
it's yeah. They said it's a 17. It's a 17. It's you shooting a DM
Yeah.
for for someone that's
You
out
know,
of your league,
you know, you know.
but you never know. You might catch on the right day. You might catch on the right day.
Hey,
So
you
yeah, you
know.
might catch on payday. So
Yeah.
you never know with these things. So there is a chance. For me personally, like it is what you're saying. We're straying away from the Lions identity or DNA from the past few years. But the reason why I feel like we're doing it is because we don't have the players that suits that style of rugby. We just don't have Frankie Horn is not there. So you're not going to get those big transition plays that he does.
Mm,
Nohamba's not there. You're not going to get that
mm,
that creativity. Also, those transitions plays. We've got Volata, who's more a kicking fly half, a territory fly
yeah.
half. And he put in the kicks. He did the things. You look
Look,
at Bronson Mills
better.
coming into his first senior game. Bronson Mills plays 10 and 12. So he
Yeah.
also put the boot in. He also played the territory. So
Um,
sometimes it's about the players that you have making the game plan, not trying to fit those players into an existing game plan. And it
but they have
worked.
to, but they have Tovela as well, though. And Tovela can
Yeah, and I
attack.
mean we saw it at the end. But for me, you guys, you're not developing him. You're waiting for Curry Cup. So
Um, it's yeah. So you're
I
not.
mean Renzo Duplessis also another guy that got a bulk camp call up when he does
Yeah,
play man of the match.
yeah.
So it
And look,
begs the question, where was
he's
he
done better.
for large parts of the season?
Yeah, look, I think he's shown. He's done well. In this game. And every time that he has played, he's shown a little bit. In the beginning, yeah, it was you could see it was a bit of an adjustment, but I think now he's settled in,
Yeah,
and comfortable there. So there's those little, shining lights there with the Lions. But yeah, man, you can never put your finger on why, or maybe they need a spiritual leader, because you can never put your finger on why they
yeah,
can't, just sort of build that consistency, in results, especially
yeah.
with the way that they play and how they are able, like they showed in this game, to adapt, their game plan and switch things up a little bit, But yeah, look, like you say, they still have a chance. But for me, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit too late, even if they do make it through, I don't
Yeah.
see, even after that, I just don't see that fairy tale happening.
We'll continue to believe some nice transition play there with Edwell and Mills getting the ball away, although it was ruled out. Also, again, defense. I don't know if this highlights how terrible the Stormers were last week in defense, or sorry, the week before, or
Mm,
that the Lions just stepped it up in defense because Connacht ran in a few tries versus the Stormers. So I,
yeah.
I, I don't know which is which there. But yeah, let's move on to Stormers. Last week, like I said, it
Hey,
was a game of Stormers defense versus Sacha doing things. Sacha retained at 10. He continues to do things. And this is the thing, like I was saying last week, it's going to come down to when Libbok comes
yeah,
back,
yeah.
what happens. Libbok is in
Us.
training this week.
He's still gonna. I think
So
he's still gonna play. Liverpool is still got a part quarters.
I'm not,
He's still got.
I believe that. I believe okay, this week they're probably gonna slot him in on the bench if he even does come into the team. But there's still games. There's playoff games. There's crucial games. So at that point, what will happen? But we've seen Sasha take that 10 jersey
Yeah,
a few games in a row. Now we're seeing Stormers last week. Dobbo had some words about defense publicly, and they really stepped it up in that department
they
as well. The
did.
pressure on
They
defense
did.
led to it
They
led
did.
to tries.
Yeah, they did. And how they were also like playing towards the ball a lot.
Yeah,
Everybody.
yeah, yeah,
Almost like trying to go through the middle. Instead of focusing too much on the wider channels against Benetton. I think they must have identified that they are a threat, outright, even on defense. If they catch you, you're in trouble on turnover ball. And I think that also contributed to the defensive effort where it was
Yeah.
a dynamic. They kept it tight but dynamic, if that makes sense. If you know what I mean, like in terms of the zones they were playing in and where they were finding those breaks.
Yeah.
So it was good to see, and also that variation as well. Where in contact, yeah, Murat, the physicality, but still keeping the offload. Different things where that it was just momentum. Yeah, for
Mm.
for for the Stormers. I think, yeah, they got it spot on. It's one of those where they in that zone. Where it's just anything can
Yeah.
happen with them. They just they are
Especially
they
at home.
buzz. They buzzing right now. Like the just like that momentum that they get. When once they get going, it becomes very difficult to stop. And the way Sacha is playing, hey, this kid he's a terrorist, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is, man. And it's good. It's good that he's ours. You know what I mean? Because yeah, you just hope that he can just continue to do this.
Mm.
It's like a Quade Cooper like you
Yeah.
know uh, hybrid, but it's just better.
Mm.
you know.
Yeah, I believe so. Just to go back to what you said about the pressure, even if you look at that Sazi Sandy try, it was like a kickoff, then they trapped them in their 22, and then they put that pressure, then they get the ball back. So, like you said, they were hunting the ball and they were very clever in that way, and they didn't allow Benetton to get momentum and go on those runs like they did against the
Yeah.
Lions. Like you said, Sasha, it's not just this is the thing about him. It's not just flashy step reverse pass. It's also the drop goals. It's also the
Mm.
quick taps. It's also there's a lot to his game. And I mean, if you saw in this game, they said he did it all: assist, try, drop goal, conversion, penalty. He did it all in this
Yeah.
game. So
Playmaker.
another exhibition to how well rounded he is as a player.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, for sure. And you just want him to keep on doing that, backing it up. Because
Yeah,
obviously it's gonna get tougher now. People are gonna be doing
yeah.
homework. There's homework being done already. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's just a matter of him just keep on adding to his arsenal. But right now, yeah, look, you can't deny him, eh? You really
You
can't
can't you
deny him,
can't you
Cordis.
can't deny him. And the thing is, it's like he's playing to where I know I'm better than you guys. Okay? So that's why I'm gonna do these things because I know I'm better than you guys. So he's playing. Okay, you can do that against a Jacob Umaga. You can do that against these guys, but the issue
Yeah,
is gonna now come when you playing now Leinster.
the guys
You
that have
know,
done homework.
yes, and also guys where they also are saying, but it's me. You think you're better than
Yeah,
me. So
yeah,
those are obviously challenges that he'll have to meet.
yeah. But
Um, we'll see how he stacks up. Ruiz, it's good to see Ruiz going again.
he's big for the Stormers, man.
Yeah, and like you said, Paul de Villiers also. I think he's added a dynamic when it comes to looking for the ball there, and as you said, Murat with the physicality.
Like a lot to like, and especially the response. And
Yeah,
again, it's just also you must remember they also have those attacking threats. The guys in the pack they're working well, they've got the intensity, and then you've got the backs, everything that they're
the
doing.
creativity. Yeah,
Yeah, they just finding space, putting each other. They jamming, man. They play.
yeah.
It's like they found that thing again.
Mm.
And hey, it's good to see dangerous. But for them, you can just hope as well. Just like when you see Stormers and Bulls, and even the Sharks where they are. It's like this is like a sprint marathon type of competition. You try and get as far ahead as possible. To
Yeah,
and then you know that there is definitely going to be a dip, but then it's about now on the back end. How strong can
yeah.
you finish if you're close enough. You give yourself a chance. That's what it looks like right now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Close to the league round robin.
For me, the only issue of concern for them really is at scrum time. Brock Harris has gone down, and then also
Yeah,
Sazi Sandi. Sazi Sandi, good player, but
gosh,
scrum time he tends
it's
to
got his
struggle a
struggles
bit.
there.
He's a bit light.
Yeah,
He got the yellow card there, so that's my biggest area of concern. The lineouts, they doing a little bit better, but set pieces where I find like they have that's the concern for me. If
yeah.
if you're going deeper into competition.
Mm, mm,
Moving on. Ulster hosting the Sharks. The Sharks had the opportunity for the clean sweep.
mm.
We didn't even mention this was kids' round. Now we had the
Yeah, yeah.
opportunity to take the belt to the kids as their father. We had the opportunity to now issue discipline with the Sharks to say we are now cleaning up on this round,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it looked in doubt. It looked in doubt. But again, one thing I will say about the Sharks team is yes, they have the tag of underperformers, but
Yeah.
they have been getting the results. And you can't there's something in that. There's something there. You can't say like yes, they underperform, whatever, whatever.
But
But
look,
they get results.
look, man. This, like we said, this team we just it's hard to what's in when you're about pets, it's hard to pin down. You
Mm,
can't pin them down. In terms of what it is. Because like in this game, they look
yeah.
gone, and then they did the Lazarus. And
Mm,
they came they came back, and like, geez, um, I think the first bit of it, yeah, they got caught cold. They were still sleeping a bit for me. The
yeah.
tempo, the intensity, and they just couldn't keep up. You saw that they were huffing and puffing, getting moved around. But the moment it started getting a bit slower, but I also think um, as the game went on, there were some defensive adjustments that were made. Because last week I know I was crying about the fact that you can't just always just shoot up and shoot up and
Yeah.
there was, a bit of adapting to what was in front of them, on the day. In my view, better communication as well, especially in the midfield, um, to to allow them to sort of keep their defenses strong enough, to keep Ulster out,
Yeah.
especially the way that Ulster were looking to play. But then, as well, they themselves, started building the Sharks, and even when you look at the tries that Ulster scored, there's some miscommunication or misunderstanding with the one try with and
Yeah.
Esterhuizen, where you can see the one was going for the clean, the one was thinking it's a loop around. There's certain things where it's like, okay, these things they can be
Transition
fixed.
tries
Yeah,
as
and
well. Turnover. The other one was a turnover, and then they got
yeah,
in
so
behind.
it's mostly their own errors, so and that's why, like you say, there's something there, but I think the something that's there, and like we've always said, is the fact that it's the box that are there,
Yeah.
and at the same time, it's also like, but yes, it's the box that are there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
why is it like this? And it's almost, yeah, almost like, remember the Stormers when they had, all the box in there and it just wasn't happening. Yeah, you're getting the results, but no silverware, not too much of it. This Sharks team at least has got, but yeah, man, it's just hard
Yeah.
to see how against the thorough examination you're gonna survive. Because yeah, you get the result, but man, yeah, it's like I say, it's hard to put. It's no, honestly, quarters,
Yeah.
because even when you look at it's their own mistakes. The first, I think was it the first try, no kick out, more
Yeah.
defense, let them down, penalty. But the moment they cut those things out, they were able to get themselves back into the game. Yes, the individual started, you know, turning up as
Mm.
well. I think Kolisi was big. Sia Kolisi was big in this game from the defensive turnovers that he was making. So that's why I say the
Yeah.
individuals were, got them out of that and got them into the position. But hey, yeah, because you even saw that Ulster shove, eh? You
Yeah.
saw even
Yeah.
that
Scrum
one.
time.
Yeah,
Scrum
man,
time, they were
that
really putting in the pressure.
they were
For me,
sleeping,
I
man.
mean, first half, there was no direction. Again, that comes from 9 and 10. Unfortunately, I don't want to be that guy that every week is talking about 9 and 10 here. But Hendricks Brothers Company here was not, they were not functioning. But second half, they did come alive. There was more direction. So that's one thing that I'll say, that Plum, he didn't just hook Jordan. He let him play. He played through it. He brought on Bradley Davis at the right time to replace number 9, and they did
Yeah,
get it going in the second half. So there,
yeah.
I will say, coach got that right.
Mm-hmm.
Kicks out, again, that's something that you need to be doing. The
You see,
breakdown every week, it seems like it's a problem for the Sharks.
you see.
Even one of those tries was a transition try where the Sharks were in their 22, lose
Yeah,
possession in the breakdown, they get behind. So again, that's a recurring issue with these guys where it just seems like it happens week after week after week. Second half, yeah, I will say they were more direct. I mean, even towards the end of the first half, when you saw Jenkins on that big run, those kinds of
yes,
things. So
yes.
so
Yeah,
they started getting into it. But hey, Stockdale gave you guys a hard time. You
yeah.
know, he
Because
was he
having a
was
nice
cleaning
time,
up
man.
everything there at 15. But I mean, to me also, it is an Ulster team that were desperate because they're also now, they were swinging.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
were they were going out swinging. They were like, hey, and they were at home, so they just had to have a go at it. So I think that's what we saw in them building that lead, is that's because towards the end the Sharks were always going to come back into the game.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you look at the way the bench was set up, I think they've been looking for this type of bench impact for a few games now,
Yeah,
with like your Julie's on the bench, trying to have that impact. But yeah, like as we said last week, Ulster not the same Ulster as
yeah,
of those times when Juan Pina was, he was the legend over there, and those guys,
yeah.
it's and yeah, that's why I just thought, look, yeah, Sharks should get the win, but again, for me, it's not so much about, yes, we're getting the result, but it's just the manner, in
Yeah.
which you can't survive like that for too
But
long,
there's, like I said, there's something there. There's something there, and as
It's just
it was actually, it
personal
was.
pride, I think.
Is it? I
I think it's
think,
personal pride of the players, bro.
yeah,
More than anything, I think it's just personal pride of the players. More than, yeah, okay, yes, there's some good things the coach did, but
yeah.
you know, it hasn't been good all the time. So I just, yeah, that's just
I
me.
think it'll do them well going into playoffs where it you have to have the never say die
Yeah, true,
attitude.
true, true
So
quarters.
that's one thing I will say. And as pointed out in our comment section, that the Sharks are actually fourth. This time last
Mm,
year, I think they were 14th. So
yeah, it's
we need
better
to,
than
perspective again comes into
perspective.
that thing of, yes, we're viewing them constantly as underachievers, but they've jumped 10 places. They've won 2 games away from home. So
Yeah.
it's that thing of reviewing them as this, maybe it's better than
Our
what we think.
expectations of them.
Yes.
I think more than anything, it's our expectations of them
Yes.
because of the players. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, this team, because it should be, but yeah, we understand. And yes, perspective, but we want our team to be dominant. For me,
Yeah.
I want the team to be always dominant. Obviously it's not always going to be the case, but yeah, you take the win, you keep going,
Yeah.
you start preparing for knockouts, and let's see. And like I said earlier, it's an interesting time where a lot of guys, even the Sharks, the guys that are coming back, they're starting.
Mm.
I think Chituka as well had a good workhorse
Mm.
game, considering the late change that was made with Etzebeth pulling out. I think him
I
at
was more impressed with Manu. I felt like he had
even
a good game.
both. Both, because even if you look at Manu's try, the key part of that try was Vincent's clean. You know,
Mm.
if he doesn't make that clean, that ball doesn't come out. It's not a try. It's a turnover. So that's why I say like you're seeing guys now starting to come into their own, and it seemingly looks like it's the right time. And maybe there's something that the conditioning coaches and the guys they've been knowing, because maybe it's looking good now at the right time, whereas
Yeah.
let's see. Let's see, but yeah,
Yeah.
take the win.
Looking forward to this weekend. We've got Sharks hosting Ospreys. Sharks do us a favor. Uh, we've got Bulls hosting Cardiff. I think Cardiff are too far
Yeah,
ahead for us to touch. And then we've got Stormers hosting Dragons, and we've got
Dragons.
Lions hosting Scarlets, who also we're going to reel them in.
Think the
And have
brooms,
a.
eh? But let me not say that. Every time we say brooms, bro,
I
but this
think
one, I think brooms this one, bro. I think.
the one that's in doubt, I think, is the Sharks. Not to
Sharks.
be rude,
No,
but
no, for sure. Because
because
we
they're
don't know.
coming back home, off a tour, it can be quite difficult. But I'm not saying they're gonna lose. I'm just saying that can be
Look,
a.
the Sharks, bro, they can't lose, so
Yeah, and if you look at the table, I mean, I'm not a statistician. I'm not going to be one of those guys that'll tell
bring
you
up
the
the calculator.
permutations and what. But it's Scarlets, Benetton, Munster, Edinburgh, Ospreys, Ulster, then
Yeah,
Lions, and these
mm,
guys are all playing each other. So we can still
yeah.
we
You
can
got
get
a
it in.
chance, eh? You got a chance to.
Any closing remarks from you, Chris? You guys can
Look,
still even move up the log a little bit there by the Bulls. You can still.
yeah, we can. We can. Talking about that, sorry, I saw somewhere the Bulls missed opportunity to actually take a point away from Glasgow, so that's
Mm,
something interesting. Maybe something that might come back to bite them. But yeah, look, all I can say is, look, it's Sharks, it's God's team. We're gonna hopefully we'll see more Lazarus X in the coming weeks. But yeah, look, for me, just want that domination, man. Like that better
yeah,
control, just better performance. But we'll see. They want to break now, so
yeah.
no Challenge Cup, eh? No, no,
Mm.
no Champions League, no Europa. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it is following week. In my mind, it was
Mm.
this coming week. Yeah, no, but good round, kids round. There was child abuse. We dominated. We came. We saw, and that's it from us, guys. Thanks for
Yeah,
watching.
we out.
Cheers.
We out.